It's here. I talk about trends. Hey, where are you guys going? Where's the fire department going in general? There's something you're going to see coming out right here. It's called community paramedicine. It actually started a little bit down south. It has to kind of do with the insurance companies. And what happens is they're trying to, again, healthcare reform. They're trying to cut down the cost of healthcare. So what happens is we were only, again, you can only be billed, we can only bill and only be paid on the transport. Well, obviously, I transfer you to the ER. That's a significant cost. So what they decided is a lot of the medical emergencies we see, diabetic emergencies, that sort of thing, can be treated out in the field, and then after that, you would go ahead and there's no need to transport. But there should be some sort of follow-up. So a couple of departments down south came up with this idea of paramedics that were supervisors, and so you go and I'll treat your diabetic emergency, for instance, okay? Or maybe you had a syncopal episode for whatever reason. And they go and we'll treat that. And then after, they'll sign off. They'll make sure they'll stay there 20 minutes or so, make sure your sugars are back up where they need to be. Then they'll say, you know what, in about 2 hours from now, we're going to have a supervisor drive by and kind of check up on you and make sure everything's okay. Well, there's a little problem with that in Ohio, and a couple of departments are starting to look at that. There's two things they're developing. One, the departments that rely on that revenue aren't getting the revenue anymore. Actually, it's costing them money. So now what do we do? So let's partner up with local hospitals, that sort of thing. So actually a department here in Central Ohio that was discussing actually having one of these supervisors paid for. There's another little problem. The state of Ohio, we as paramedics can only operate under what we call the scope of practice, which is basically I'm operating under the physician's license. Nowhere in the scope of practice does it say I can come in and assess you and basically be a doctor and advise you to transport. That's out of our scope of practice. And that sets everybody up for some liability. So you will see some scrambling going on. Now, what I do say, and this has been discussed for a long time, and my wife works in the hospital, the biggest focus right now, especially when going to nursing, CMPs, nurse practitioners. I would not be surprised to see nurse practitioners on those medics because they operate under a whole different protocol. So maybe a partnership with the fire department where we actually employ nurse practitioners for 8 hours a day, where they can actually go do those assessments, and then you watch the competition kick up then. Consolidation of fire departments. It's a great idea. I think we've consolidated communications. Right now, Dublin PD, or Dublin Communications, takes care of ourselves, Norwich Township Fire, Hilliard Police, our police, and so we're consolidating those resources. The problem is, up front, it's cost you more. Everybody has to be on the same level of technology. So everybody has to foot the bill to put in new radio towers, to bring up their radios so they're compatible with everybody, so they're the same. Long term is where you see your cost savings, especially in HR and that sort of thing. The other thing is all those local communities give up a little bit of control. And that means if we want to consolidate fire departments, go to a district, for instance, everybody has to agree to that. And so some folks will get, to be honest with you, here in Dublin, I think you have, and I'm biased, I'll be honest, you get a high level of service. We go to some of the surrounding communities and they'll say, you know, we don't really need that high level of service, we can balance. So I call it a teeter-totter, okay? So we're up here, organization or community B's down here, and they want to consolidate and it's going to do this. And so there's give and take in that. And people are, again, so the politicos, the elected officials are the ones that have to do that. And the shift to alternative, you're going to start to see right now full-time fire departments shifting back to part-time fire departments or volunteers. Or dissolving the fire department as a full-time organization altogether because of the costs associated with it, especially personnel costs. And a lot of that now has to do with pension reform and all those other things that we're battling. The ability, the tangible personal property tax, all those government supports that are rolling back, people depended on that. And if the community, how can I say it? We're based on what you're willing to pay us. How's that? We're based on how well you're willing to support us. We want a top-notch organization. You support us well, you get top-notch service. If you want to cheap it up a little bit, you get cheap in service. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. I wish there was. And then, you know, my role is to not spend your money. It really isn't. It's to spend it wisely. And in the end, I'm still spending your money. Okay, so we're a quality of life organization. That's what we are. It depends on the quality that you want. And so I think you're going to see organizations right now. Never in my 34 years have I seen this many layoffs from smaller organizations. Okay, it's consistent now. People are laying off. And I come from Cuyahoga County. Even the department that I broke in with up there in Euclid, they're laying folks off. They don't have as many as we used to have, and what they have, they can't maintain. So it's that challenge, and it's to all public organizations, whether it be schools, whether it be police, fire, roads. It's just a challenge. So with that, we're right at 8:30, or 2 minutes over. Real quick, we'll stick around if you have any questions, and feel free. We do have our year-end reports. It finally came back from the printers. We have some over there. It's for the township. Feel free to take one. They're for you. Paid for them.